following is an exclusive presentation of RNN.
Live, local, and late breaking, this is RNN News, live from Raceland-Worthington High School.
Good afternoon, this is RNN. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mason May. We begin with today's top story as a shooting on the campus of Michigan State last night has claimed 3 lives while leaving several others battling to survive.
So we are very saddened to report that there has been an incident on the campus of Michigan State University. We received multiple 911 calls of a shooting inside Berkey Hall. Numerous officers responded. We were quickly on scene within minutes, and there we did locate several victims of a shooting. The incident did move to a building in close proximity, the Michigan State University Union building, where there was another report of a shooting immediately following the first incident. We are sad to report that there have been 3 confirmed fatalities. This is in addition to the 5 victims who were injured and transported to the hospital. All 5 of those victims remain in critical condition. The suspect in this incident was located outside of the MSU campus, and it does appear that that suspect has died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It is confirmed that he is deceased. I will also share that the incident that occurred off campus with the suspect occurred in the city of Lansing, off campus. That suspect is, we now know, is a 43-year-old male. That 43-year-old male is not affiliated in any way with Michigan State University. He's not a student, faculty, staff. And we have no idea why he came to campus to do this tonight.
Guys, PD says you guys can go back to your dorms and shelter in place. Go back to your dorms and shelter in place.
We believe there to only be one shooter in this incident, and there is no longer a need to shelter in place on campus.
This is a day of shock and heartbreak here across our campus and our region. It's something that's quite unimaginable, but has been imagined in other places and other times, but we just can't imagine that it's here. We're devastated at the loss of life, and we want to wrap our warm arms around every family that is touched by this tragedy.
A school district in Ewing Township, New Jersey, closed for the day after being informed that the alleged shooter, Anthony McRae, who lived in the area years ago, had a note in his pocket indicating a threat to 2 schools there. It was determined that there was no threat to the schools. Local police said later in a statement shared publicly by the superintendent.
The first U.S. missile fired at an unidentified aerial object over Lake Huron missed the target and landed harmlessly in the water before a second one successfully hit. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said Tuesday the acknowledgement of the errant missile by General Mark Milley came amid questions about whether the government was creating unnecessary risks by shooting down aerial objects that military officials say didn't pose a security threat. In Washington, Pentagon officials met with senators for a classified briefing on the shoot-downs. Lawmakers conveyed concerns from their constituents about a need to keep them informed and came away assured the objects were not extraterrestrial in nature. Senator Tom Tillis said the recent spate of interceptions was likely to have a calming influence and make future shoot-downs less likely. Senator Lindsey Graham told reporters after exiting the briefing that he didn't think the objects posed a threat. They're trying to figure out, there's a bunch of junk up there, so you got to figure out what the threat, what's not, you see coming. You shouldn't always have to shoot it down, Graham said. Milley said the military went to great lengths to make sure the strikes did not put civilians at risk, including identifying what the debris field size was likely to be and the maximum effective range of the missiles used. He also said in each case the Pentagon works to make sure that the airspace is clear and to evaluate the potential debris field before embarking on such a strike. We're very, very careful to make sure that those shots are in fact safe, Milley said, and that's the guidance from the president. Shoot it down, but make sure we minimize collateral damage and we preserve the safety of the American people. The object taken down Sunday was the third in as many days to be shot from the skies. The White House has said the objects differed in size and maneuverability from a Chinese surveillance balloon that U.S. fighter jets shot down earlier this month, but that their altitude was low enough to pose a risk to civilian air traffic.
Nikki Haley, the former South Carolina governor and United Nations ambassador, announced her candidacy for president on Tuesday, becoming the first major challenger for former President Donald Trump for the 2024 Republican nomination. The announcement, delivered in a tweeted video, marks an about-face for the ex-Trump cabinet official, who said 2 years ago that she wouldn't challenge her former boss for the White House in 2024. But she changed her mind in recent months, citing, among other things, the country's economic troubles, and they need a general change. A nod to the 76-year-old Trump's age. You should know about me. I don't put up with bullies. And then when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels, Haley said. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president. Haley, 51, is a long line of Republicans who are expected to launch 2024 campaigns in the coming months. Among them are Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former Vice President Mike Pence, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. President Joe Biden has said he intends to seek re-election in 2024, stalling any jostling for the Democratic nomination. Haley has regularly boasted about her track record of defying political expectations, saying, "I've never lost an election, and I'm not going to start now." If elected, Haley would become the nation's first female president and the first U.S. president of Indian descent.
Customer of wireless provider T-Mobile US Incorporated reported widespread service outages in the U.S. late Monday, according to websites tracking service interruptions. Post and downdetector.com and productreviews.net indicated T-Mobile service outages in multiple areas of the country. Many Twitter users also report outages. Numerous posts by users said their service had been changed to SOS mode, meaning that they are not directly connected to a network but could still make emergency calls. T-Mobile President of Technology Neville Ray issued a statement about the outage on Twitter early Tuesday. We have seen significant improvement and are operating at near normal levels, Ray said. Our team continues to monitor, and we greatly appreciate everyone's patience. We apologize for any impacts this issue may have had for our customers. The company did not immediately provide details of the cause or extent the outage. Downdetector.com provided a chart tracking service complaints within the previous 24 hours, indicating a peak of more than 69,000 reported outages in a 2-hour period. Posted comments on the site came from users who said they were located in Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Hawaii, Kansas, Nebraska, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Texas, and Washington.
Checking in on Kentucky news, a Florida man is accused of fatally shooting a clerk at a hotel in western Kentucky after assaulting two people outside the business who couldn't give him a cigarette lighter, authorities said. Robert Pinnell, 55, was charged with murder, assault, and other crimes at a Best Western hotel in Paducah, the McCracken County Sheriff's Office said in a statement. Authorities responded to the business Saturday morning after several callers reported that a man was actively shooting in the hotel, which is located near Interstate 24. McCracken County Sheriff's deputies and officers from the Paducah Police Department arrived first, and a deputy found the female victim on the first floor with multiple gunshot wounds to her head and body, officials said. A Paducah officer located a possible suspect outside the hotel and detained him in the parking lot. An investigation determined that Pinnell, who was staying at the hotel, assaulted a couple in the parking lot over a denied request for a cigarette lighter and then went inside the building with a handgun and proceeded to shoot the victim and throw the gun into the lobby. The sheriff's office statement said, multiple people were in close proximity when the shots were fired. The victim's name wasn't released at the request of her family. The statement said, no motives for the shooting have been discovered. Through the investigation is continuing, authorities said. The McCracken County Sheriff's Office said Pinnell is from Palm Coast, Florida, and detectives were coordinating with the Flagler County Sheriff's Office to determine why Pinnell was in Kentucky.
A Louisville woman who threw acid on a woman's face in 2019 took a plea deal Friday in exchange for 1.5 years in prison, as reported by the Daily Independent. LaQuasha Jones, 29, pleaded guilty Friday before Judge George Davis to a charge of first-degree assault as a part of an agreement struck Thursday through meditation. Jones is the last of the three to be convicted in the case. While Jones physically threw up a cup full of acid on a woman's face, she testified during a co-defendant's trial that she was under the impression it was water and the act was a practical joke. The mastermind behind the attack, Christopher Smiley Nunnally, was convicted in October 2022. Following a trial, the jury recommended a 38-year stretch for Nunnally. Both Jones and her girlfriend, Cyril Nunnally, Christopher's cousin, testified against Christopher Nunnally at the trial. Cyril Nunnally, the getaway driver in the attack, took a plea deal for a lighter conviction of first-degree wanton endangerment in exchange for 5 years of probation. At Jones' hearing, the victim was in attendance and confirmed to the judge that she was in agreement with the terms of the plea deal. After entering her plea, Jones was sentenced on the spot. Christopher Nunnally is due for sentencing on February 17th.
On to entertainment news, as Sunday's Super Bowl was the third most watched television show in history, with an estimated 113 million people watching the Kansas City Chiefs rally to defeat the Philadelphia Eagles. Fox said on Monday that the preliminary numbers include the broadcast of Fox and Fox Sports, as well as streaming on Fox and the NFL's digital sites. The figures are via Nielsen's Fast National Data and Adobe Analytics. Final Nielsen data will be available on Tuesday. Rihanna's halftime show averaged 118.7 million viewers, making it the second most watched in Super Bowl history, behind Katy Perry's 2015 performance.
While haters and stands debate Rihanna's Super Bowl halftime performance, she joins a contingent of famous women to capture a cultural moment with a pregnancy reveal. There was, of course, Beyonce when she revealed her blue IV bump at the 2011 VMAs, and more recently there was Keke Palmer, who did the same while hosting Saturday Night Live. Many others take to Instagram, but Rihanna quite literally raised the bar on Sunday, floating on a platform far above the stadium. Clad in a fire engine red boiler suit, zipped strategically down to reveal her substantial bump.
Coming up, Shaylin Newman will take a look at our weather for this week, and Hunter Masters will catch you up on the latest sports news. That's when we return on RNN after this.
Taking a live look outside Raceland High School, we see a mix of sun and clouds with breezy conditions that is making it feel like springtime in mid-February. Record highs are possible tomorrow before we flip back to winter this weekend and next week. Let's take a look at our forecast. For tonight, a passing shower, then clouds overnight, low of 52. Tomorrow, record highs possible with gusty winds up to 20 miles per hour, high of 76. Tomorrow night, cloudy with rain after midnight, low of 54. Taking a look at our extended forecast, thunderstorms are possible Thursday with highs near 70, but Friday sees our spring-like weather disappear with a high of only 40. Temperatures try to rebound early next week, but fall back into the 40s Wednesday. For RNN Weather, I'm Shaylin Newman.
The Indianapolis Colts have hired Shane Steichen as their head coach. The move ends a search that took more than a month and included more than a dozen candidates. Each of the Colts' last two full-time hires were offensive coordinators for Philadelphia Eagle teams that made the Super Bowl. Frank Reich was hired in 2018 after the Eagles won their first championship since 1960, but was fired in October as the Colts season started to unravel. Interim coach Jeff Saturday was one of the finalists for the permanent position, but Indy instead elected to hire the 37-year-old Steichen, who became the league's third youngest coach. Over to the hardwood as Alabama is the new number one, rising to the top spot in the Associated Press men's basketball poll for the first time in 20 years. Purdue's loss to Northwestern last week caused a jumble at the top of the AP Top 25, and the Crimson Tide were the biggest beneficiaries. Alabama received 38 first-place votes from a 62-person media panel, moving up 2 spots to leapfrog number 2 Houston. The Cougars had 22 first-place votes to remain at number 2, and Purdue down to number 3. Still had 2 votes at number 1 UCLA, and Kansas rounded out the top 5. Alabama is number 1 for the first time since spending 2 weeks atop the poll midway through the 2002-03 season. It also is the first school to be number 1 in the AP football and basketball polls in the same season since Ohio State in 2010-11. Raceland knocked off Greenup County last night in boys action, 54-44 at the Palace. Raceland took an early lead, 8-0, and never trailed in the win. Christian Large led the Rams with 16 points and hit a pair of quarter-ending three-pointers in the first half. Connor Thacker added 10 points and grabbed a game-high 13 rebounds. Connor Sutton added 8 points and scored the first 6 points for the Rams in the contest. The 63rd District Tournament is set for next week. On Monday, the girls were open at the high school with number 1 Russell's playing number 4 Raceland at 6, followed by number 2 Greenup and number 3 Lewis at 8:15 p.m. Tuesday night, Russell will play Raceland in the 1-4 matchup. Greenup and Lewis will play Wednesday night in the 2-3 contest. Those games will tip at 7 p.m. at the middle school. Girls Championship Thursday at 7 p.m. at the high school, and Boys Championship Friday at 7 p.m. at the middle school. All games can be seen on Cool TV. That's a check of sports. RNN will return in just a moment.
That will do it for RNN Today. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest news updates each day.
Join us each Tuesday and Thursday at 2:40 p.m. for your first check of news, weather, and sports. Have a great afternoon, everyone.